Hey everyone, and welcome to another week of Kinder Chat. This week I am sharing a couple end of the year sight word review games that you can play with your students. So typically I don't teach any new sight words or go over any new high frequency words the last month of the school year. What I do is I take all of the sight words that they've learned previously and I review them the last month of school. That way I know that they know them before they go into summer break, and hopefully by the time they go into first grade next year, they will be all set and ready to go with their sight words. I test my students using my Read the Rainbow sight word program that's found in my TPT store, and I just go through all of the words and see which ones they know and see which ones they don't know. With the don't know list, what I do is they create their own sight word flashcards to bring home that they can practice. So I just give them a little stack of index cards and a marker, and we usually write them together. So usually I'll do this in a small group setting, so that way I can make sure that they're spelling each word correctly and they're using their best handwriting. And then I just put it in an envelope and just say, practice these sight words over summer. That's it. I give my parents a bunch of different ways to practice the sight words. So I'll go over a couple of them today, but there's also a great blog post that has 10 ideas for sight word instruction and review, so you can find that linked below. So ready? Number one, my favorite way to practice sight words is by using a sight word bingo. So this sight word bingo is summer themed, so it's perfect for the last month of school. And all you have to do is just type in the sight words that your students have trouble with. So usually there's about 30 words that are a little trickier that students might struggle with, or the majority of your students might struggle with. So you can use those 30 words, you can create sight word bingo pages, and then just play sight word bingo. And the best part is your students don't even know that they're actually learning or reviewing something, they just think it's a game. So you just call out the words, they can cover it, you can give out prizes, you can give out points, whatever you do in your classroom. This is just a fun, simple, easy way to practice those sight words at the end of the year. The other one is also similar to a game, and it is roll and read sight words. So for this one, you can actually type in the sight words that you want your students to practice. So you can easily differentiate these pages for each student. So you could send this home over summer with your students, or you can just have it, I usually kept it in a binder so that the students could practice a bunch of different pages of sight words. So they roll a dice, they look at the number, and they read the word underneath. And to make it a little bit more challenging, you can also have them use the word in a sentence. So if they rolled this word, they would say like, and then you can say, I like to go to the beach. And that would be the activity. So that's the next activity. The next one, this is actually, my students would usually do this in the mornings, but sometimes I liked to do it as a whole group. So I would have everybody pair off, and I would put 2 words on the board, and all my students would have to do is play tic tac toe. So one student would be the first word, the second student would be the second word, and they would try to get tic tac toe. You can have them use whatever words you want. You can have them just do this on a whiteboard. It doesn't matter. Pretty much, this is a super simple, easy game that you can play with your students. The next sight word game you can play is similar to Hangman. I always called it build a school. You could do build a dog, build a cat. You can use whatever you want to use. I just try not to use the word hangman. But it's the same concept. So I would just pick a word. I would write that many blanks on the board, and my students would have to guess the letters to make the sight word. So I'd have my little word bank up here. If they did not guess a letter correctly, I would put it up at the top, and then I would draw a part of the schoolhouse. So they would keep guessing the letters, and then eventually they would spell the word. And sometimes they could guess it before. Usually I would have them spell it, and then they would have to read it use it in a sentence, and then that student would get to come up and choose a word to play next. So this is another one that you can play whole group, you can play in your small group. It's really simple and easy. And the last game, many of you probably already know it, it's called Sight Word Slap. You can play this with any skill as long as you have flashcards. So what I do is I just lay out a bunch of different flashcards all over my table. This definitely works best in a small group setting. It doesn't really work for whole group. But I would lay out all the different sight words. I would say one and they would have to slap it with their hand. Or if you have fly swatters, that's always fun to swat it with a fly swatter. And I would just say the word, they would have to find it and then use it in a sentence, or sometimes I would cover it and they would have to spell the word without looking. So that is another sight word game that I would play at the end of the year. So I hope these sight word games are something that you can implement in your classroom. You can find any link that I mentioned below. Make sure to let me know if you do try out any of these sight word games in your classroom. And I will see you next time for another Kinder Chat. Bye.